That's 561-1212.
The Philadelphia Urban Coalition is recruiting ex-offenders to enroll in a free job training.
Dolly Parton tonight at 9 on the Nashville Connection.
It's very nice of you to help, Spencer. It's much easier with someone else wrestling with the furniture instead of wrestling me.
I like to keep busy, Chrissy. There's not much for me to do when the Whitneys are away.
And I'd like to apologize for my behavior last night.
Why?
I acted like a fool. I was a scared rabbit jumping at every sound. But you know, I couldn't help it, especially after all that's happened in this house in the last few weeks.
Well, that's perfectly understandable. Oops, excuse me.
It's all right.
Sometimes your imagination just takes over and you begin to hear and see things that don't even exist.
My imagination takes over without being asked. Oh, Mrs. Saxon, shouldn't you be in bed?
Chrissy, will you turn off that infernal machine? I can't hear a word you're saying. That's better. Now, what was that?
Shouldn't you be upstairs resting?
No, my dear. I really do feel much better this morning, thank you. And thank you, Spencer, for calling Dr. Kavanaugh last night. It was the wisest thing to do, really. An ounce of prevention, you know.
I'm glad you think so, Mrs. Saxon. I'm obviously responsible for your fainting spell last night. I certainly don't blame you for reacting the way you did.
I must admit, it was just the shock of seeing you standing there with that weapon. You see, Spencer, I am not fond of guns. To put it more bluntly, I abhor them. And I'm very glad to see that you are not wearing that thing this morning.
I don't think there's much necessity for it now, Mrs. Saxon. I believe we're quite safe at the moment.
Hoping what?
I was hoping that this was just a nightmare. But it isn't. We really are in the Whitney attic.
The Edge of Night is brought to you by Duncan Hines Layer Cake Mixes, Light and Moist Deluxe 2 and Extra Moist Pudding Recipe, and by new Formula Era, a new combination of powerful cleaners concentrated into 1/4 cup.
When we set out to improve a great laundry detergent, we wanted to keep the powerful cleaners that work on ordinary dirts, that cut through food stains, that get out grease and oil, and add powerful cleaners that clean collar soil even better than before. So that's what we did. All in the concentrated 1/4 cup called New Formula Era. So effective, it cleans clean through. Watch Era clean through collar soil, taco grease, and motor oil. We treat only the top with a teaspoon of Era, rub, run under warm water, and look. New Era cleans clean through. That's the kind of power you get in Era's little 1/4 cup. New Era, power that cleans clean through.
Could you bake a better cake than a pastry chef?
Crazy me. There I am with the head chef of the 5-star Box Street restaurant. I let him challenge me with his cake against my Duncan Hines. I was really nervous because the judge was Augustine Page, owner of the Box Street.
Excellent. Very excellent taste, indeed.
Chef Rudy looks so smug.
Let me have a taste of the other one. Excellent, too. Flavor and a little bit More moisture. Can I see? Duncan Hines. Oh.
Good try.
Rudy, have a taste.
Excellent. Duncan Hines cakes. So moist and delicious, you can make them better than a pastry chef's cake.
I think the worst thing in the world is to wake up and find out that your nightmare is a reality.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's nothing left to do except to face it. We really overslept, you know.
It's no wonder. We stayed up half the night waiting to get back in the bedroom just to look at Skylar's watch.
Yeah, but there's so much activity downstairs last night. What else could we do except sit around and wait?
You know, I wish we could have heard more of what was going on downstairs, or at least understood it.
Yeah, I do too. All I could get was bits and pieces. Obviously, somebody was ill and they called the doctor.
You know what's bothering me is, I wonder who was on the phone talking about Gunther.
I do too. Who was that?
I don't know. At least we heard some of the conversation. Shh, be quiet. Shh. Anything?
No, I don't hear anything at all. They must all be downstairs.
Maybe they're having breakfast. Or maybe they're preparing for lunch. Kevin, I'm starving. Aren't you hungry?
Of course I am. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do. We can't even go out. We could send out for Chinese food. I guess we can't do that either, can we?
Seriously, what can we do?
Pretend we're dieting.
You're funny. You're really funny.
Honey, we can't go down and risk getting caught until we see that that watch was the same one that Gunther had on when he died.
I know. And if we don't, then this whole crazy attempt has been a waste.
Exactly.
Exactly. The only problem is we can't go in the bedroom in broad daylight. Gotta wait for nightfall. And who knows, we might starve to death by then.
Who would have thought it would end like this? Starving to death, 3 stories above a kitchen.
This is a squeaky. Shh.
Julie, look at this.
What?
Do you know what this is? This is a dumbwaiter. This is what they send food up in from the kitchen.
Terrific. How about we send a little note down and order up some egg rolls?
I think that one of us is going to have to go down and get some.
Did you sleep all right last night, Nora?
Oh, I did, Mrs. Kavanaugh. I was quite comfortable. It was very kind of you to suggest that I spend the night.
Well, it was the least that I could do since I kept you here so late last night. I just lost track of the time. It seemed like there was so much work to be done. But you mustn't let me do that. When you've had enough, just raise up your hand and say, stop.
I told you, I don't mind at all.
Well, it's just the nature of the business, I guess, these unpredictable hours. It's true for both Miles and me, I'm afraid.
Yes, Dr. Kavanaugh especially has impossible hours, doesn't he? He had that house call last night, and I know that he left very early this morning.
Yes, it's even more complex for him because not only does he have his office practice, but he works at the hospital, and he does forensic work for the police department.
Well, with all those demands on his time, you mustn't get to see him very much.
Well, I've made my peace with that. Besides, we compensate for it because when we are together, we work harder to make those times special. For example, he's going to come home from work this afternoon to have lunch with me.
Well, some other women might be less tolerant, or perhaps a better word is less trusting. I'll get that. Hello.
Hello, Nora. May I speak to my wife, please?
Yes, of course. Dr. Kavanaugh.
Ah. How is the good doctor?
Fine. And how is the good doctor's wife?
Looking forward to lunch.
Oops. Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm sorry, honey, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to make it.
That's what I get for nagging, huh?
I still have one more patient to see, someone who was scheduled at the last minute, and I can't get out of it. Please tell me I'm forgiven.
You're forgiven. That's all right, honey. I understand. I really do. Don't worry about it. We'll make it some other time.
And we'll steal a longer lunch, I promise. See you later, sweetheart.
Bye-bye, darling. Bye-bye. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to be one of those tolerant wives you talked about, Nora, and Miles can't make it home for lunch.
Oh. Duty calls.
Yes, I'm afraid so. But maybe you could have lunch with me, will you?
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Kavanaugh. I'd like that. But I'm afraid I've already made a tentative lunch date.
Oh, well, okay, another time. I'm gonna get some more tea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'm just about finished in here. Thanks again for helping, Spencer.
Anytime, Chrissy. Would you like me to take care of that for you?
Thank you. Are you hungry, Mrs. Saxon? Should I bring you a tray upstairs?
No, no, my dear. I'll have something in the kitchen. It's my favorite room in the house anyway. Is the mail in yet?
Yes, ma'am. Right over here.
Whitney residence?
Spencer, Nora Fulton. I want to talk to you at once.
Oh, really?
That's what I said, at once. We have to have a little chat about your new job.
I refinished this beautiful piece all by myself, and I can't even change a light bulb.
A pro wanted $300 to refinish this. I did it myself for $15.
Formby's furniture refinisher can make a believer out of you because it works unlike anything you've ever seen. It dissolves old varnish lacquer shellac without stripping, sanding, or scraping. With my furniture refinisher, it's a pleasure to create a treasure.
Homer Formby. No one knows wood as good.
Many stores now have special values on my furniture refinisher.
Somebody got into your apartment last night. What happened? Somebody picked the lock, searched my whole apartment, and then didn't take anything.
You know, there's been a strange rash of robberies lately. 2 of the Whitneys.
Two of the Whitneys?
Yeah.
I didn't know there'd been a second one.
It was the night of the opening of the Whitney Dance Company.
I totally missed it in the papers.
Well, there wasn't any story. They didn't want any publicity.
But they reported it to the police, didn't they?
Oh, yes, they did. And I suppose any police report is public domain, so he could have printed something about it. But Schuyler Whitney had decided that he wasn't going to press charges because everything that had been stolen was returned to him.
Returned?
Mm-hmm. Well, too bad. It's a good story wasted.
A strange story wasted. But then what happened at my apartment was so strange. I mean, the fact that nothing was taken. I mean, not that there was that much to take, but...
Valerie, do you think it's possible that there was so much publicity about the money that you're supposed to be coming into?
I think that's exactly what it was, Nancy. I'm afraid that there are a lot of people out there that think I have or am coming into a lot of money, and that makes me a perfect target.
Well, it's a remote possibility.
Yeah, maybe I'm exaggerating it a bit, but no, I can't help thinking about it. Wondering about people's motives. Well, that man who's been following me.
Yeah, that is something to make one nervous.
But I've decided how to handle it next time I see him.
Well, I hope you look for the first policeman you can find.
Well, yes, if there's one in the vicinity. Otherwise, I think I should just confront him. Go up, say, look, sir, who are you and why have you been following me?
Valerie, I believe in getting honest answers, but I also don't believe in taking unnecessary chances.
Well, neither do I, but that's what I intend to do.
Table for one, sir. I'll have one for you in just a minute.
Health experts don't always agree on what's best, but many of them believe we should keep our serum cholesterol from rising above normal limits. Now, how do we do that? Well, in this university study, 43 families on individual eating plans reduced serum cholesterol an average of 9.6% in 3 weeks. Did they live on boiled rice? Not at all. They cut down on foods that were high in cholesterol and saturated fats. They ate more fish, more chicken, more fruit, more vegetable. And for cooking and salad dressings, they used Puritan oil because it is low in saturated fats and contains no cholesterol. This is the oil. I think you should try it. This is the name. I think you should remember it. Puritan knows you're fighting serum cholesterol. Puritan wants you to win.
You invite me over for a friendly dinner, and look what I find.
Another glass.
Eddie, it's got lipstick on it.
And just after this greasy pan.
It's not my shade.
Dawn will handle it.
After those greasy dishes?
Try it yourself.
Water doesn't feel greasy, or my hands. And this glass looks as good as the first one.
Dawn's great, huh?
Now, about the lipstick.
What lipstick?
Dawn takes grease out of your way.
Well, let's see. It's Miss Avery, isn't it?
Yes.
Your first name?
Jinx. Lately, that seems to be an act name.
Oh, I'm sure that's only temporary.
Actually, Jinx Avery is not my real name. I use it for the stage.
Ah, you're an actress then, huh?
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, not a very successful one, but I keep trying.
Well, are you working in something in Monticello now?
We're in rehearsal right now for a showcase production. I've been having a little difficulty lately.
What do you mean, difficulty?
Well, it's funny, but somehow I've gotten off the track. You know, frequent headaches. I've been oversleeping. I've never done that before, especially when I'm involved in a production. And I've been fluffing my lines. Sometimes I forget them completely, even when I know the scene perfectly.
And that's not usual, I assume.
Not at all. It presents problems. I mean, not just for myself, but for the other actors and the director. I'm afraid I've been responsible for some really messy rehearsals lately. In fact, the director insisted I see a doctor. He threatened dismissal unless I did.
So that's what brought you here to me today?
Yes.
And who was it that recommended me to you?
A friend of mine, Bambi Jansen. She mentioned your name.
Sure, I remember treating Bambi. She was one of the dancers in the Whitney company.
Yeah.
Right? Well, go on, go on.
Well, it's strange, Dr. Kavanaugh, but generally I feel fine. It's just that these lapses happen when I least expect them.
Well, all right, we're just going to have to start looking for the cause. I'll tell you what, we will begin with a few preliminary questions about your medical history. If I can find a pen.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to pick it up. Oh, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, that's all right. Sometimes, you know, the first visit to a new doctor is something that makes people nervous. Let me just do something for a second. You sit back and relax with me. I'm going to just use this flashlight, and I'm going to pass it back and forth in front of your eyes. I want you to follow the light best you can. Follow the light.
You look troubled.
I'm just concentrating.
You know, a lot of men have looked in my eyes, but they've never appeared troubled. I mean, sometimes they describe what they see as limpid pools. You don't say anything.
Well, they're absolutely right. Your eyes are beautiful, limpid pools.
And what else do you see?
Let's just get a little of your medical history first, shall we?
Just coffee, thank you. Would you care to order?
It can wait. But what I want to know can't.
What's on your mind, Nora?
I told you. I want to know about your new job and how you came by it. Quite a coincidence, wasn't it?
There's nothing mysterious about it. It was quite simple, really.
How simple?
I read about Gunther's death in the newspaper. Apparently, he left a good job behind, and since I was in need of a job, preferably a good-paying one, I decided to offer my services to Mr. Whitney. He accepted. That's all there was to it.
Quite the opportunist, aren't you, Spencer? You always were very quick to seize the moment. You're always the one to profit by someone else's loss.
Like I told Mr. Whitney, when a door opens, walk in. Anyway, what about you? Isn't that what you just did? Or is it just a coincidence that you're working for the doctor who attended Gunther just before his demise?
Mm-hmm. I read the papers, too. And besides, I don't work for Dr. Kavanaugh. I work for his wife.
There you are, sir.
Thank
Are
you.
you ready to order now?
No, thank you.
What's in that head of yours? Dirty little secrets, I'll bet. Just what are you up to, Roxanne?
Don't you ever call me that. I am Nora Fulton, and don't you forget it. And if we ever happen to run into each other again, I want you to be sure to remember that.
Seeing you again is a treat I would gladly do without, Nora.
You're afraid of me, aren't you?
Why in hell should I be afraid of you?
You took Gunther's job. You're greedy, Spencer.
You crawled out of the gutter and you took a dead man's job. And I don't forget slimy things like that.
I needed the job. It was available and I took it. It's not my fault that Gunther was killed.
Well, no one said it was. But it's somebody's fault now, isn't it?
All I know is what I read in the newspapers. They said that... Wait a minute, what are you up to? What are you planning to do to those people you work for?
Come now, Spencer. No one can hurt the Kavanaughs. They're perfect people, the ideal couple. And nobody can destroy that.
Wonton soup and egg rolls, too.
You might have to settle for hard-boiled eggs, too.
Okay. And be careful. I'm scared. Right?
I'm too hungry to be scared. Just don't drop me, okay?
Trust me.
Oh.
Nestle Crunch, the blend of milk chocolate and crispy crunchies that's music to your mouth.
Creamy milk chocolate is the melody. Crispy crunchies are the harmony. The two together are music to munch. Let's hum a few bars of Nestle Crunch. Toe tap and tantalize and happy feeling appetizing. Nestle Crunch is music, sweet music to your mouth.
You're looking at a vitamin tablet that has what no other leading brand has. 21 essential vitamins and minerals from A to zinc. Centrum. 4 more vitamins and minerals than Myadec. 4 more than Unicap M. 5 more than Theragran M. 10 more than One A Day Plus Iron. 13 more than Geritol tablets. Centrum. With every vitamin and mineral in the U.S. RDA and more. It's more complete than any leading brand. Centrum. Nutritional support from A to zinc.
Tonight at 6, reporter Jack McGee runs into a man who's posing as the Hulk, but who is in fact an imposter. Lou Ferrigno stars as the Incredible Hulk. And at 7, Lamont is in the theater, but the confusion is too much for Fred on Sanford and Son.
More tea, Mrs. Saxon?
No more, Chrissy, thank you.
You are certainly a Democrat.
How did you know?
Well, you're so democratic. I mean, to think a great lady like yourself would be taking a meal in the kitchen.
Oh, that's nonsense. Why, my husband, my first husband, and I had many meals in this kitchen. Yes, Chrissy, there was many a family conference in this room over scrambled eggs and coffee, to say nothing of midnight snacks.
Well, I think it's marvelous of you.
My dear, there's nothing marvelous about it. Now, Chrissy, there is something you are going to have to learn about so-called high society, and that is even queens use...
Use what, Mrs. Saxon?
The facilities. Well, now, I've had a very nice luncheon, thanks to you, but I think I'm feeling a little tired. So I'm going back upstairs and lie down for a while.
I'll go up there, too. I still have a few things to do up there.
Take it from me. Nothing holds odors like a carpet. And my wife says no rug and room deodorizer gets them out better than Carpet Fresh. She says that it gets right to the source of odors caused by dogs, cigars, whatever. I'm convinced. Nothing ever made this room and rug smell better than Carpet Fresh. Take it from me. An expert.
Airwick's Carpet Fresh, America's #1 rug and room deodorizer.